Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Poppy Playtime. In particular, we will talk about a project that's making a lot of noise in the community. Just a few days ago, I posted a video dedicated to this Poppy Playtime remake that is still in development, and I have to say you really loved it. I read many of your comments, I saw your excitement, and that's exactly why today I want to bring you new and very interesting updates. In this video, I will show you new official images released by the developers of this remake. These images also show us what Huggy Wuggy will look like in the remake. So we'll take a close look at the new design of Huggy Wuggy, analyze his appearance and style, and directly compare him with the official version we all know. It will be really interesting to see how far this remake wants to push towards something more realistic and unsettling. Before we move on though, I want to remind you of something very important. Poppy Playtime Remake is not developed by Mob Entertainment. This project is made by Occulta Studio, an independent team with a very clear goal: to create a version of Poppy Playtime with much more realistic graphics, an even darker atmosphere, and a much more horror-focused approach compared to the original. So this isn't just a simple fan project thrown together, but a real remake that aims to reinvent the gameplay experience. If this topic interests you, if you love Poppy Playtime and enjoy darker and alternative projects, I recommend you stay until the end of the video, because there's really a lot to see and discuss together. And of course, if you enjoy the video, leave a like, it helps me a lot understand that you like this kind of content, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future updates, news, and deep dives about Poppy Playtime series. That said, I think we can start right now. Let's now start with the analysis of the images dedicated to Huggy Wuggy. In these images that you will see on screen, we can finally observe in detail how Huggy Wuggy will appear in the remake. At first glance, it's immediately clear that this is something very different from the original Chapter 1. Let's start with the level of detail and graphic quality. The 3D model of Huggy Wuggy in this remake looks much more refined. The fur that covers him seems to have a more realistic, alive structure, which contributes a lot to making the character more realistic. This kind of detail makes him less toy-like and much more believable as a horror creature. Even the hands have been redesigned. They look more defined, with a more natural shape and a stronger sense of physicality. The same goes for the mouth, which looks more detailed, deeper, and especially more threatening. All these little details together create a Huggy Wuggy that is definitely more frightening than the version we knew at the beginning of the series. If we make a direct comparison with the official Poppy Playtime Chapter 1, the difference is obvious. In the first chapter, Huggy Wuggy's 3D model was rather simple, suitable for the game's initial style, but limited technically and artistically. Here, however, we can see a significant step forward, almost as if this remake wants to match the more modern standards of the series. In fact, the quality of this 3D model can easily be compared to what Poppy Playtime achieved in Chapter 4. This is a very interesting comparison because it means that Occulta Studio is not aiming to simply redo Chapter 1, but to reinterpret it with much higher visual quality, as if it had been developed today with the experience gained in the later chapters. The environment and lighting convey a much more horror and dark feeling compared to Mob Entertainment's Chapter 1. Overall, these first images dedicated to Huggy Wuggy clearly show the direction of the project. This Poppy Playtime remake doesn't just want to be a simple aesthetic redo, but seems to aim to offer a more intense, darker, and scarier experience. If these are the premises, the project looks really very interesting, and I'm curious to see how the other iconic elements of the game will be reinterpreted. Now let's move on to see two more images of Huggy Wuggy recently released by Occulta Studio. These two images show us the full render of Huggy Wuggy, and already from these first images, you can see how much the developers are paying attention to every single detail of the character. In the first image, we can see Huggy Wuggy in his calm and smiling form. Even in this calm mode, the model is extremely detailed. The fur is no longer uniform, like in the official Chapter 1, but has a more irregular texture, almost as if it were a real animal or a living creature. The smile, although seemingly harmless, already gives a certain sense of unease thanks to the way the mouth is modeled and the detail in the eyes, which appear deeper and more realistic. All of this helps make Huggy Wuggy more believable and scarier even when he seems calm. The second image shows Huggy Wuggy in his angry form, with his mouth wide open in an aggressive expression. And it is precisely in this mode that we can appreciate all the improvements made by the remake creators. The teeth, for example, are no longer uniform and perfect like in the original model. They have been yellowed, damaged, and even broken, details that add an incredible level of realism and make Huggy Wuggy feel like a real threat. All of this makes the Huggy Wuggy model even more horror and scarier, especially if we compare it to Mob Entertainment's Chapter 1, where the design was simpler and less detailed. When this remake is finally released, it will be really interesting to make a direct comparison between this version of Huggy Wuggy and the official Mob Entertainment version. We will be able to see how much the graphic quality has improved, how the atmosphere has changed, and how the character has been reinterpreted in a more horror way. Already from the images we saw today, it is clear that Occulta Studio is aiming for something truly unique and creepy, and personally, I can't wait to try it out myself and show it to you in a future video. Now let's move on to analyze another image from this remake. What you are seeing is an actual screenshot taken directly from the gameplay of the remake, and in particular, it represents one of the first rooms we encounter as soon as we start the game. If you remember, this is exactly the room where the toy train is, the one we find immediately to the right when we start the adventure. And it is in this room that we immediately notice the difference between Occulta Studio's remake and the official Chapter 1. At first glance, we can already appreciate an extremely high graphic quality. The textures on the walls, the objects scattered around the room, and even the small details of the environment make everything very realistic. It's no longer just a simple game background, but a real room where we can feel the sensation of being inside an abandoned and creepy factory. The really interesting thing is that right from the very first minute of gameplay, we will already be immersed in a definitely horror atmosphere. There won't be time to slowly get used to the setting. Every detail in the room, from the lighting to the shadows, from the toy train to the worn walls, contributes to creating tension and unease. All of this shows that Occulta Studio wanted to start off strong, showing from the beginning that the tone of the remake will be much darker and scarier than the original. Another aspect is how the factory itself really seems abandoned for a long time. In the official Chapter 1, the factory gave the impression of having been empty for only a short while, maybe just a few weeks. The details were less pronounced, the rooms cleaner and less worn. In this remake, instead, we can see dirty walls, worn floors, and objects scattered randomly as if no one had set foot there for years. This aesthetic choice greatly increases the sense of unease and makes the environment much more realistic and believable. In short, even from this first room we can understand that the Poppy Playtime remake wants to offer a more immersive, more horror, and visually more refined experience. It's not just a graphical update, but a real rework of the atmosphere capable of capturing the player from the very first moment. Looking at these images, it becomes clear that every element is designed to make us feel constantly uneasy, tense, and immersed in a frightening world, much closer to what we would expect from a realistic horror. Thank you so much for watching the video until the end. You are amazing. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell for the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.